Normally, I'd be titillating you with a silly intro. Not this week. You see, I've come down with a condition of sorts, a craving if you will, and that is for buffalo shrimp. Tempura buffalo shrimp with homemade blue cheese to be exact, and when it looks this good, maybe you'll understand. I've got places to go and people to see. So let's pop that collar and get to cooking. Alrighty then, any good buffalo needs a good buffalo sauce, so we will start with a pan to which we will add a half cup of butter or butter substitute. And to that, I'm going with a fat tablespoon of garlic. Totally optional, but I love a garlicky buffalo sauce, so we will cook that over low heat and just let it simmer until the garlic is cooked down. And this is just less than a cup of hot sauce. You can use any hot sauce you want. Any brand that you like to eat as regular hot sauce will work well for this, and just throw that into a butter garlic mixture. Give it a good mix and let this come up to a simmer. I'm going with just a pinch here of chili powder because I like a little bit of smokiness, but again, totally optional. You can customize this any way you want. Get a little bit of salt in there, give it a good stir, let it simmer for at least 20 minutes, and you will have yourself one kick-butt hot sauce. You can let this reduce as long as you want, but 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm happy with the flavor. Let this cool to room temperature before we toss it on our shrimp. Speaking of our shrimp, this is a pound of these little guys. They have been detailed, deveined, de-everything, and they are ready to go. I love these guys because they're just so poppable. They're the perfect size for this application. We're going to season them simply with just a little bit of salt and pepper. Give those a toss, and now for our tempura part, we need something to have the shrimp stick to the tempura batter, so we're going to go with our flour and then our cornstarch. Recipe will be attached below for this. Toss in your shrimp, and we want to make sure that these are all very well coated individually, so I find the best way to do this is by hand, and you can see that these are all really well individually coated. We want to get rid of the excess flour so that doesn't just dump all into our tempura batter and make it super thick, so I like to use this mesh strainer over any kind of container, give it a good shake to get rid of the excess flour. Now for the tempura batter itself, we're going with our flour, our cornstarch once again, and here's our baking powder. Definitely not a lot, but it has a huge impact on this, so very, very important. Give that a good whisk to make sure everything is mixed. And now here is our only wet ingredient. This is club soda. It works perfectly for this. Again, if you're doing it with just a normal batter, you could go beer batter or anything kind of carbonated, but the club soda just gives such a light, perfect batter. Start slowly with this. I never actually use all of the 16 ounces that's recommended in the recipe. I get closer to about 10, but it's always a little bit different, so I like to add it slowly in batches. You'll see it's super thick in the beginning. Keep going until you get about pancake batter consistency. This is exactly what you want. When you whisk it, it kind of comes back together as if you hadn't, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Batter is so quick, so easy, and we can now add our shrimp into it. You can see that we got all the excess flour cornstarch mixture off of it, so we're just going to dump these in here. And again, you want to make sure that you're getting these really well individually coated. I find the best way to do it is by hand. Get a little bit messy, have a little bit of fun with it, and that will come out the best way. Now, super important, our oil. We're definitely doing a somewhat deep fry application for this tempura batter. It's 365 to 375 using a oil with a decent smoke point like a vegetable oil or canola oil, and you just want to drop these in. I find easiest by hand. You want, because you can have control when you're dropping them and kind of keeping them separated. Even after you drop them in, you want to kind of move these around just a little bit to make sure that the tempura batter doesn't initially stick. After the first few seconds of moving around, you can kind of just let them fry on their own. These little guys will be super quick, about 3 to 4 minutes depending on how crispy you want them and how high your heat is. Again, if you're around 365 to 375, you should have these golden brown in easily less than 5 minutes. And then I like to use this slotted spatula to mesh strainer combo to really get the excess grease off. If you have a spider, no, not that kind of spider, Ron, take it easy. It's much easier, a kitchen spider, to kind of get this out all in one scoop and then put it onto your rack or whatever you're using to get the excess oil off, maybe a bunch of paper towels. But then we're just going to keep doing this in batches. This one I overcrowd a little bit. You definitely do not want to overcrowd, especially with the tempura, because it does have a tendency to stick to each other. But I got away with it here because I just kept them moving, and then I will strain them again. And this is the rack that I was referring to. It's just a great way to let the excess oil kind of drip off. They get nice and crisp this way. I hit them with a little bit more salt as soon as they come out. And this is why I do tempura. Like, if I didn't want to do the tempura batter and just fried them in the flour and cornstarch, they'd be great. They'd be phenomenal. But I want this kind of crispy, unique texture that you only get from tempura. And now that these bad boys are golden brown and crispy, they can smell their hot sauce, and they are asking for it. They want that buffalo sauce. They are saying, give it to me, and they are excited, maybe a little bit too excited in this case. Let's grab our bowl and put a little bit of our buffalo sauce in there. Not a lot to begin with, just a little bit on the bottom, and be gentle tossing these. If you fried them correctly, they can definitely stand up to this, and the coating won't fall off all over the place. But we're just going to start with a little bit of our buffalo sauce, give them a nice gentle toss in the bowl, and you can see that they're starting to get nicely coated, but I definitely want a little bit more. Again, this hot sauce has cooled down a little bit, not screeching hot, but it hasn't been refrigerated or anything, so just kind of room temperature. We'll give a little bit more sauce in here, give them a good toss, and this is exactly what we're going for. They still maintain their crispiness, but while they're still warm, they just soak up that sauce so perfectly. And speaking of sauce, it is time for our homemade blue cheese sauce. So again, we'll grab a bowl and an egg yolk, a little bit of lemon, just a few drops here to start with. We're basically making a mayonnaise here, or an aioli, whatever you want to call it, without the garlic. So we will beat in our lemon juice into our egg yolk, and you want to get this nice and frothy before you add any oil to it. You'll see it really thicken up. And once it kind of starts to look like this is when we can slowly stream in our oil. If you want to do this in a machine, you can do it super quickly, but I find by hand with just one egg yolk, you can get it done very, very quickly. Just keep slowly streaming in oil as you go on. You can add it quicker until you get a thickness like this, or however you're looking for. And then I will throw in an equal part of sour cream, and you can see the difference in the color. Really cool there. Now here is our blue cheese. I'm going to start with half of it to begin with and just give this a good mix. And just from naturally mixing, you can see how much it just kind of thins down and gives that dressing look that we want. So now I'm going to throw in the rest of my blue cheese, and this is what we're going for. This is a nice dippable blue cheese, not too thick, not too thin. I taste it, it tastes good, but it needs a little bit more lemon juice because I like it lemony, and a little bit more salt and pepper to season it. And this is good to go. You can refrigerate this. Easy homemade blue cheese sauce, going to be one of the best ones you've ever had because it tastes homemade in the best possible way. I like to chill it as cold as possible and then serve it with these hot, spicy tempura buffalo shrimp. The contrast is just perfect. I mean, the spicy shrimp, the crispiness, the texture to tempura is out of this world with that cool, creamy blue cheese dressing. It just goes together so perfectly. I cannot wait to get into these bad boys, and that's why I make them so small, because they're so perfectly poppable. You just want to keep eating them. You can see the texture on these. Again, you could do the dry fry like we mentioned, but you're not going to get that texture. I only get that from tempura. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, but I had somewhat of a reaction to it as soon as I tasted it. Needless to say, I was pretty happy with it. I'm even willing to spill my blue cheese dressing all over my table just to give you a close-up of this. These bad boys are like Pringles. Once you pop, the fun don't stop, and I am having fun with these bad boys. It's so addictive. I gotta put my fork down and I gotta walk away, not before I grab one more. And you could use this for literally anything. You could do the same exact application for vegetables or anything else. I'm gonna sneak one more, and now I literally do have to walk away because these things are hitting me in special places. Try it, don't deny it, fry it, supply it, all those good things. Enjoy yourself some tempura buffalo shrimp on the house. Yeah.